Hello, my name is Mr. Lundstrom. I am your child's biology teacher for this school year. I just wanted to take some time to share with you some information about myself. Since we cannot be in person, so I am originally from Ohio. I went to Kent State University for my undergraduate degree and for my graduate degree. I have been teaching at Booker High School for 5 years. This is my 6th year here. I am married. This is my wife, Sarah, in the bottom corner. And next to the picture of us is my son, Chase. He is going to be turning 4 in November. I have 2 dogs. I have Chow Chows. Their names are Bear and Yeti. And then I also have a Siamese cat. His name is Stormy. I also shared with your student earlier this year about my DNA analysis that I did, and how I found some interesting things about myself and how I can actually use that information later when we learn about genetics, and how we inherit our traits. We typically think of things as being 50-50 between our parents. Mom gave you 50% of her DNA and dad gave you 50% of his DNA. However, that's just not the case. And there will be slight differences along the way. And I could see that show up in my genetics. And so that's what the map up there I was talking to them about. Also, there was just for them to see that I am in fact a mutt. I knew that I was a mutt, but I didn't know how much of a mutt that I was until I got all the information back. And so for most of our students here, I will have something genetically in common with them because of how much stuff I have in my DNA. So for the most part, I have something in common with them on that very first day, and they get to learn those things about me, and they got to continue to learn those things about me as we continued throughout the first couple weeks of school as we got to know each other. I also went over the differences between my pre-ACE course and my regular biology course. Your student would be in either one of those this year. The things that are the same are in white. We are preparing for an EOC at the end of the school year in May. If your child is remote or in person, they still have to take that exam, and the exam will be in person. So if things are still going the way they are going, we may have to figure out different ways of hosting those, but that is to be determined at a later date. Just know that there is a state test at the end of the school year. And we can go from things as small as atoms all the way up to something as big as an ecosystem. The students do need to be self-motivated, dedicated to being part of the learning process, and it's really up to them in order to make sure that they are doing what they can to make sure they're learning what they need to be learning, along with everything that I'm trying to do to make sure that they learn for those state tests and the other assessments that we will have in the class throughout the year. The difference for pre-ACE biology is shown in blue. The difference is that this does prepare the students for more rigorous coursework, possibly being an ACE course or more pre-ACE honors courses. And also that there is a boost to student GPA for being in pre-ACE biology. Any pre-ACE or honors course on campus will have a 1-point GPA boost. So an A in pre-ACE biology is not a 4.0, it is a 5.0. That is true for the A, B, and C letter grades. The D and F letter grades do not get that 1.0 GPA boost. If they move on to the college level courses like ACE courses, those will have a 1.5 GPA boost. I do show them as well that the quarter grades are divided into 4 different groups. We have tests and quizzes being 40%, classwork and homework being 20%. Typically, most of the time they won't have homework unless they did not finish something in class. I don't really assign something to be done completely outside of class. I at least give them time to start it in class, and then they can move on to doing it at home for homework if they did not finish. Labs and projects are 20% as well, and also employability being 20%. Employability is just basic. Are you coming to class on time? Are you doing what I ask you to do? Are you following classroom rules and expectations? And those sorts of things that would make someone a good employee someday. I will take employability points from students for various things that they do against those rules. They can earn them back, but they cannot earn them back all in one day most of the time. Usually they have to show that they are improving consistently to fix that behavior. They can't just come in the next day and say that they're going to be good and get all of those points back. With pre-ACE biology and regular biology, there is another difference in this with the classwork/homework. Things that I assign through Blackboard, which right now is a lot of things because we are social distancing. I will require pre-ACE biology students to get an 80% minimum on those assignments. So if they're in general biology, if they get any score, they will get credit for that score, even if it is only a 50%. I do encourage them to go back and redo those assignments as well. They get 3 attempts and I take the highest score. But for pre-ACE biology, because it is honors, we need to be working towards mastery. We want to make sure that we're working towards not just completion of assignments, but to really do well and get better at the information. I do require them to get an 80% minimum on those assignments. The way that would show up in the gradebook is if a student has a score, but there is a code of missing, the missing code will overwrite their score to be a 0%, and that should alert the student that yes, they did do it, however, they need to redo it for a higher percentage. If there is no grade and it says missing, that means that the student did in fact not actually ever complete that assignment. In pre-ACE biology, if we get to the test day, they can no longer do it anymore. I will switch that grade to being a 0. Instead of showing what they actually got the first time they did it, that wasn't enough. And then there will be a code of incomplete if they did attempt it once, but they did not get the score requirement. If it just says 0, that means that they never attempted it. For general and pre-ACE biology, I don't allow them to turn stuff in after the test is over. So once we have the test day, they need to have turned everything in for that unit. Otherwise, they're not going to get a grade for it. The semester grades for the first semester, there is the 2 quarters and then also a midterm. Midterms this year, I believe, are after winter break. So the midterm will be 20% of the first semester's grade, and then the other 2 quarters are 40%. Semester 2, I am not allowed to give a final because of that state test, that EOC end of course exam. So there are only 2 grades for semester 2, quarter 3 and quarter 4. So quarter 3 and quarter 4 actually account for more of your grade than quarter 1 and quarter 2. So if we are improving throughout the year the way we should, you should do better in the second half of the year, and then you should have better grade overall because the second half of the year counts for more than the first quarters. The first and second semester with the midterm and quarters all adds up to just 70% of the total grade for the class. The other 30% of the grade they will get as their final grade for the class comes from that state test, being 30% of their grade. They do not have to pass the EOC end of course exam in order to get credit for biology and to graduate. However, it is 30% of their grade, so it could be a determining factor in whether or not they pass the course. So they do need to make sure that they are remembering everything we learn, studying periodically, taking good notes, doing all of the assignments because it will be on that end of course exam and it is 30% of their grade. In order to pass this class, you need to have something higher than a 60% average at the end of the year, including that EOC. And you do have to pass this course in order to graduate from high school. So if the students do not pass this year, they would have to repeat this course the next year. I think that pretty much about wraps up everything that I wanted to cover with you. If you have questions, you can feel free to reach out to me. If you completed that syllabus assignment from September 1st on Blackboard, you should have my contact information through there, but you can also find it on the school website. Thank you, and have a nice